Good evening and welcome to Intrigue into the unknown and unusual. On tonight's episode, we will explore a concept of someone, or worse, something, taking over your phone or the Internet of Things around your home. Stay tuned and find out more coming up next.
If you haven't seen the new trailer for the new Chucky movie coming out, at least in this point in time, it's definitely an interesting twist. And it makes this concept much easier to digest. And maybe by the time you come across this video, the actual movie came out. But for the sake of the conversation, let's just stick with the trailer for the time being. In this rendition of Chucky, it seems as though he is a sort of a smart device connected to other devices as well. So it really plays, or I should say, it adds an element of horror into the Internet of Things. And it leads us into the premise of this episode, is with the Internet of Things connecting devices and being more entwined in with our lives. What if a force hacks in and takes over those devices? What happens next? And as you can imagine, if something were to happen like that, it would truly be a frightening experience. Now you may be thinking to yourself, come on man, that's just a movie. You're stretching your imagination pretty well there, bud. Well, okay, so this is a movie. But the question is has there been any real life stories of maybe not demonic possession of smart devices per se, but let's just say unusual activity that is really hard to explain? That the explanation is just, let's just say a malfunction, a bug, error in the code or software. Just a very unusual occurrences that makes you want to raise your eyebrows for sure. It wasn't that long ago, if you can remember, that there was a string of people that were indicating that their Alexa was making this unusual cackle out of nowhere. It was definitely an unusual experience that people were witnessing. The explanation that was provided was that the Alexa device was misunderstanding a command. They seemed to be understanding that there was a command that said, Alexa, laugh. And so, there you go. There's the laugh. But it begs the question that if it's happening in the middle of the night, or if no one's really saying anything, then where is this command coming from? Let's go ahead and check out some of those stories that are definitely worth a second look. Aside from having a disturbing and evil laugh, one of the other creepier things that Alexa, and I would imagine Siri, has done is respond to commands and prompts when no one's around. When you do a little bit of research on the internet, you'll find these stories in which people say that Alexa starts a conversation or responds to something out of nowhere when no one's around. And when they go and they check why it's even doing it, it's because it was responding to a prompt. Could it be that this is a malfunction, as we mentioned before? It's certainly possible, as with any technology. There's certainly bound to be some sort of malfunction to occur at some point. But some of these stories, the problem with that is no one's around. No one is around to prompt these responses. The other thing too is these devices will have these really random answers. So when you do talk to them, they'll say things like they see dead people, or that they side with robots, or some other weird things. But even stranger are some of the stories that are coming out about them playing music in the middle of the night. One of the more intriguing things that I have seen repeated over and over is this one instance in which I believe the Alexa device will play a creepy version of Pop Goes the Weasel in the middle of the night. Another more fascinating story is there's this one Reddit story about how one of these devices channeled Hannibal Lecter and says, "Hello, Clarice," to a lady in the middle of the night, around 3 a.m. Speaking of 3 a.m., there seems to be a growing challenge in which people ask either Alexa or Siri or any other smart devices questions to see if anything weird happens. And if you're not familiar with things occurring at 3 a.m., they say that 3 a.m. is the witching hour, and so people will try to see what they can pull off. And in one instance, I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but it's certainly an interesting story to share. But this one person kept asking Siri questions in the middle of the night, and finally the response was quite disturbing. There was warnings from Siri to stop it, to stop persisting, and then finally it was no longer Siri. It was something else. And even despite the warnings, the person kept persisting, and Siri said, "Hey, demons are watching you." And sure enough, the phone was taken over by one. Now, could this be real? Could it just be a story to pass along to give people the heebie-jeebies? It certainly may. But one thing is certain. I certainly don't want to find out firsthand. But it begs the question, if there is a story out there that is indeed true and is verifiable that such an occurrence can happen, how creepy is that? After all, a demon does not necessarily need a body to take over. It can certainly take over anything with some level of intelligence. So, could it be possible that it could take over a phone? It's a good question to ask. And which goes back to Chucky. If a demon-possessed doll has access to all the Internet of Things around your house, well, that certainly won't be fun for you. Now, some of you may say, well, that's all bogus. I don't believe in any of that stuff. Well, that's okay. Here's a scary story for you. While some may not find demon possession possible with technology of any sort, what we can all agree on are hackers and some of the more inventive ways they are able to get into your phone. One of the more disturbing ways that they are getting onto your phone is there are ways to prompt the commands on your phone without you even knowing it. Some of the ways is having hidden messages on YouTube videos or in audio tracks that, while we may not understand them or hear them, your phone does. And this will prompt commands to open up your device folders and other things that are on your device without you even knowing it, while you just sit there and watch a video. Now, everyone, don't worry. There aren't any of those commands on this video. But it does make you wonder, which ones do? Does all this mean that we should ditch technology altogether and live a life similar to the Amish? Certainly not, unless it is your choice. However, it's unnecessary to live in that fashion. The truth is, technology can be used for good or evil. It depends on the intentions of the person or thing. Like anything else in life, it has a neutral beginning, and what you do with it will determine whether it's good or evil. Technology is something that we should not be afraid of, for after all, it has vastly improved our lives. However, it would be completely naive to not consider the harm that it could do, provided that it was given to the wrong hands, whether that's literal or figurative. And whether you want to believe these accounts or not, whether anything could be taken over by an unnatural being and then take over the technology of your house, or a hacker wanting to do you harm, Could it all be bogus? It certainly can. But it's up to you to decide whether these stories are truly from the unknown.
I want to thank you for watching tonight's episode. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. And be sure to hit the subscribe button as well for future content. And make sure you hit the bell button as well for notification of future episodes. Again, everyone, I want to thank you for watching this episode. And have a wonderful evening. And remember to take care. And also to stay intrigued. Good night.